Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Toronto. Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Randy Bueller. And we are underway here in round number 13. We've got Ben Feingersh. That's our last undefeated player, Randy.
Yep.
He's playing Obzon Megamorph and he's at 12-0, has not picked up a single loss for the whole tournament. He's playing against one of the best standard players in the world, Brad Nelson, sitting at 11-1, just recently picked up his first loss a couple of rounds ago. And he's on Obzon, but this time the aggressive version, and you can see he's got a really aggressive start here with Warden of the First Tree right into Rakshas, the Death Dealer.
Yeah, only 2 Wardens in the deck, but when it works out this way, it's pretty nice.
It's nice, and
Obzon, clearly the winning clan of the day.
Absolutely.
Whether you're playing at aggro, whether you're playing at Megamorph, there's even a little bit of mid-range floating around. Definitely the most successful clan. I mean, Esper's doing all right too, but it's not really a clan. More like a collection of Dragon Lords. Yeah, Ben Feingersh. Basically, I don't know the name, so I'm going to guess this is a Pro Tour qualifier round for him.
Okay.
He's playing for PT invite. If he's not already invited to Vancouver, 13 wins, he's guaranteed to be invited to Vancouver. Also, by winning this match, he is all but locks up top 8. He's the only guy who can get to that position this round because he's the only guy. I mean, Brad says this is table 1, right? And you see he got paired against Brad Nelson.
That's right.
Brad's got a little bit of work left to do. He basically needs to win 2 of the next 3 to make top 8. Or actually, this and 1 more, and then he can draw. Yeah.
Which, by the way, he top 8s standard GPs more often than he doesn't top 8 standard GPs over the last couple of years.
We keep talking about the stat. It's 7 of the last 10 standard Grand Prix he's played, he's made the top 8. And of those 3, one of them, he scooped a win and into his brother so that his brother could get a PT invite. And another one, he was top 16.
Unbelievable.
Just truly absurd numbers.
And right on track here for Brad Nelson as well. He's deciding what to take with his Thoughtseize, and he has picked up, not a card you see Thoughtseize that often, a Deathmist Raptor here, Randy.
Wow.
Card goes right into the graveyard.
That is an interesting choice.
It is, especially with the Den Protector in hand for Ben. Making, this basically says that Brad Nelson's putting the pedal to the metal here, and he feels like he can just outrace the rest of the cards in Ben Feingersh's hand. Because if this game goes longer, once we start flipping up Den Protectors and getting back Deathmist Raptors, it gets pretty tough for Nelson to get through.
Yeah, that's crazy.
All right, that was a draw step there for Feingersh. The Courser of Crewfix, which he's going to play, and is going to do a decent job of holding back the Warden, less so of the Death Dealer, though. Somewhat awkward planes there from Nelson. He can't pump his Death Dealer twice with the planes, but he can still pump it once, which is enough to get it through the Courser here. Looks like he's actually going to just play something first main here.
Is this a Dromoka's command?
Is it Dromoka's command? Because he's pumping first, so that's the only thing that makes sense here. Yeah, he's going to give a counter
on the Warden.
Yeah, and then a fight, and yeah, you can see how Brad had this mapped out as he's crunching in for a ton of damage here, and he's got Ben Feingersh down to 9 already. Ben under serious heat. He does have the tools in his hand to go pretty deep into the long game here, but it's a matter of time.
Yeah, those
Brad's
tools are not for this
tempo game
matchup.
here.
Exactly. The Obzon aggro deck lets you be the aggressor and just beat up on the Megamorph decks. They may have a better late game, but yeah, you can out-tempo them. And that's the way Brad chose to play this. I mean, he's basically, with that, from that Thoughtseize, saying, you're not going to have time to unmorph a Den Protector. Sorry.
Here's a second copy of Courser of Crewfix, which immediately does find a land, though it's a tap land, Temple of Silence, and a Deathmist Raptor waiting on top.
I mean, Death Touch does make that a pretty good blocker. We talk about Brad's mastery of the standard format at the Grand Prix level. He also went 9-1 at the last Pro Tour
Yes.
in standard. Now, 3-3 in limited was, I guess, the Achilles heel. Put up merely a 14th place finish at X4, 12-4.
So still a really nice attack step here for Nelson. He can make the Warden of the first tree have base power and toughness 3, which of course with the
that
counter,
+1/+1 counter
yeah,
makes it beat up the Courser.
That's right, and the Death Dealer, he still has mana left over to pump the Death Dealer to get that through a Courser, and Ben has to actually start considering whether he wants to chump block here.
Yeah, this is 8 damage if he doesn't block.
He can effectively oblige Brad to spend some amount of mana by blocking either creature. If he blocks the Death Dealer, it's mana that's spent a little bit less permanently. But if he doesn't, he risks going down to 1 here. Yeah, this is a tough spot for Feingersh here. He has been under extreme pressure ever since that Thoughtseize.
He does have a Rhino to recover a little bit of life next turn.
That'll help a lot.
He doesn't need to be able to tap his Land of War Waste, right? He's got green and black without it.
I think what he's thinking about is, like, if I don't block, I play my Rhino and I pass the turn back. If Brad has a removal spell, do I die?
Right.
And the answer is yeah. He does die, depending on the removal spell. All right, I think he has not blocked here. So
Which I think is the right play.
the Warden's going to get level 1, and that's going to be 6 damage with Brad having the opportunity to play more, but he'd rather develop his board here and play a Fleece Main line in addition. Now he has 3 different lethal threats as the board sits.
Although Siege Rhino,
There's a land
3
on
life
top
and a
for the
blocker.
Courser. That will bump Ben Feingersh up to 4.
which is why Ben wanted to keep his Courser around.
He does that. Ooh. You said it was a crash of rhinos? Is that what it's called? Or it's not a
Yes.
pack, right?
It's a crash.
Because they do
I think you
tend
can
to
still
hang
say
out
travel
in groups. Yeah.
Shut
But you
that
know
one away,
what?
though. He needs a land.
He can't deal with it. He needs to just get a land in play here. I mean, he does have Siege Rhino.
Yeah. Fleece Lane plus Abzan Charm is also an option, I guess.
It is.
Slightly more efficient way to spend his mana. Although it does
a little
require taking one
sketchy.
from Land of War Wastes.
Also, you know, the possibility of Fleece Main Line going monstrous at some point here has to factor into Ben's plans as
Sure.
well. Once he has the Rhino down, that's less relevant, but
Or you
I
can
think
play
that was a
Den
Den Protector.
Yeah. He's had a Den Protector in his draw from before, right?
Mm-hmm. That's the one he had in his opening hand.
Yeah. But he does not play. What's
He's
he up
got
to with
one
those 2
Death Mist
mana?
Raptor in his graveyard from that Thoughtseize on turn 1 or 2, really early in the game. So I think he figures
If he flips Den Protector, he gets back Death Mist. He's got 3 blockers.
he's got 3 blockers, and he can even get a Courser of Crewfix back from his yard to
But
play
Brad
down the line here.
has Dromoka's Command.
Uh-oh. This could backfire. So there's Den Protector. That's going to trigger the Raptor in the graveyard. It looks like Ben's prioritizing getting mana going here.
Yeah,
And that's going to
crazy.
do it. So
Dromoka's Command was insane.
yeah, so Brad Nelson, you know, he made his plans early and he followed through on them and was able to pick up game 1.
That's a well-played game
as
with
a
Brad.
result. That was a sweet game. Yeah, that was really good. I mean, Ben was doing things, like he was spending his mana, he did powerful plays, but he was behind at every stage
Yeah.
and never came back from it.
Yeah, that was a Platinum Pro taking care of business. That's
It
what
was
that round
indeed.
was.
All right, let's take a look at our other match. We've got Gabby Sparks. We tried to have her in the feature match last round, but she actually just won too quickly.
Too fast.
She played against Mono Red, and that's a bit of a slugfest. And she's playing Obzon Aggro herself. Now she's playing against Mark Jacobson. Both of these players are sitting at 10 and 2 and looking to stay alive for top 8 here. Till not really able to stand a loss.
3-0 from here is a Pro Tour invite in a top 8 spot. A loss, though, takes both of those things out of play.
Gabby's a streamer.
Oh, yeah. Noted streamer, I guess.
I wrote that. We see Mark Jacobson out here at these tournaments as well. He's playing Bant Megamorph, and you can see he's kind of going off here. His board state looks far superior to Gabby's there in game 1, but double death missed. Courser and a Fleece Mane all able to attack here, though it does look like Gabby's Fleece Mane has met monstrous capacity here, and this could get interesting. Now she's got Warden the First Tree. If that were to survive, she has enough mana to level it up to a 3/3, then to make it a 3/3 trample lifelink, and then untap and start putting 5 +1/+1 counters at a time for every 6 mana she's got.
All true.
You know, when you flood out a bit, that's the kind of card that can help get you back in it. The question is, can she survive? You're right. And also the Death Mist Raptor plays really nicely against that, because she would have to make that thing massive. You know, she'd basically have to kill Mark with it. You know, because she's only going to get to interact in combat once with a Raptor. But this may dissuade an attack here. In fact, I think it will. He could attack with both Death Mist and the Fleece Mane Lion, but I don't think he nets much from that. So, all right, so make that a 3/3.
Yeah, she's waiting to see if there's any removal spells coming as a response.
Yeah, Bant Megamorph, like what can they do? Valorous Stance down the line, maybe?
Dromica's Command.
Command to fight maybe one of the Death Mist Raptors?
Right, fight before it turns into a 3/3. Like, if you were going to fight, you need to do it as a response to this ability.
Right, because she doesn't have enough mana to do the 3/3 thing again and then do the lifelink, at least to try to get something out. And yeah, sure enough, Mark Jacobson does have Dromica's Command in hand, and he is going to fight with the ability on the stack. And Gabby can respond. Oh, she looks like she might have a Hero's Downfall here to go for the big 2-for-1. Oh, but Valorous Stance to give it indestructibility from Jacobson. He had this thing all mapped out.
Yeah, I mean, her line makes a lot of sense, too. She got to take a pot shot at Fleece Mane despite Monstrous Mana being available.
That's right.
But, yeah, the Valorous Stance, in addition to the command, Jacobson had all the answers.
Wow, that could have been a huge swing in Gabby's favor had it happened that way, but it didn't. All right, let's jump back over to our main feature match.
That's all Mark Jacobson.
Yeah, Mark Jacobson's going to clean up this game. But we'll jump back over there if we get a chance to. In the meantime, let's see if Brad Nelson can knock off Ben Feingersh as the only undefeated player. Brad's almost undefeated. He's only picked up 1 loss, so it's definitely going to put a fight to him like he did before. And a good start here for Nelson. Feingersh with absolutely nothing on turns 1, 2, or 3. Meanwhile,
Still could have
Nelson,
an instant on turn 3.
That's true, at least on his main phase.
There's a lot of Obzon charts floating around the room.
He doesn't fire one off here. He falls down to 17.
There's one in his hand.
I do see one in his hand, though.
Let's wait to see if he's a better target.
Maybe an Onofenza. How about that? That qualifies.
He's also got a downfall. So which removal spell and which creature?
Yeah, that's right. That's the question here. He's still got one more turn of leeway with the Fleece Mane line before he has to start worrying about Monstrous, so you'd think he'd want to take out Onofenza now.
And it is what he does.
And he's going to use the Obzon Charm. He's going to keep that Hero's Downfall in hand. This must be a Siege Rhino because he's playing an untapped land, and there it is. So a nice swing there. End step turn 3. Turn 4 Siege Rhino, which is now dead thanks to Hero's Downfall. Nelson knows the deal. He's just got to take care of the Rhino and pass the turn back.
Move your blockers, keep turning mine sideways.
Yeah.
Hopefully you run out of life before I run out of removal.
But we know the
travel in
scientific
packs.
fact that Siege Rhinos travel in packs, and here's another one. So does Brad have another answer to one? And even if he does, you'll note that Brad's falling behind in the damage race, even though Ben hasn't attacked yet.
He did get a 5th turn. He could potentially have gone Monstrous on Fleece Mane there. So, I mean, Ben's Rhino line did leave him a little bit vulnerable to a Monstrous Fleecebane there. I mean, you have a 4/5 that can potentially block it, so maybe that's why he's thinking he was okay with opening up that window. But Brad does not appear to have a 5th land.
Yeah, didn't have the 5th land, but he did have the Obzon Charm to get that 2nd Rhino out of the way and put it back to Ben, who now really does have to worry about this Fleecebane going monstrous at some point. He's going to have to probably fire off a downfall.
Wow.
Pretty quickly. Oh.
Players in standard win box number 33.
Does not have.
He doesn't have downfall mana, and I do not see an Urborg.
Win box 33 to gathering plays.
Now, he knows that Brad missed that land drop last time, so he might get away with one here, but...
Do you have the charm? No? Or? Yeah.
Yeah,
Find land number 5?
He's got a Den Protector. Looks like no land here for Brad, at least not yet. He's contemplating an attack. I believe he's got a Wingmate Rock in his hand.
Also requires a 5th mana.
Indeed.
Sorin.
Sorin's going to make a vampire. Interesting. So Brad's going to finally take the foot off the gas here for a turn. No attack. He almost attacked with Fleecemane, but decided not to. Speaking of Fleecemanes, that's what Ben Feingersh has on top of his library. As Brad has bolstered his position, but not attacked that last turn. This could be a big swing here for Feingersh. He's got that Den Protector down. He can start going to Value Town on Nelson here, who's kind of played the 1-for-1 attack you game up until this point.
We are running out of words to describe all these different Obzon decks, aren't we?
Yes.
It's like Eskimos and snowflakes or something. We need the scale you proposed, right? On a scale where 1 is a Warden of the First Tree and 10 is an Ugin.
Yeah.
You know, where do your Siege Rhinos fit in?
Yeah.
Where are you on the Obzon aggro scale?
Yeah, the pool of cards in those 3 colors is so deep for Standard that you can really
is.
tailor it to what you think you need to bring on any given weekend. All
Players
right, so
Wild Blight.
Ben Feingersh is going to close the
geez.
door here, and he's going to kill all 3
Everything.
things. Yeah, everything Brad had are all now dead and leave him with just lands. That was a huge turn for Feingersh. Wow. Kills Sorin, kills the vampire, and kills the Fleecemane. And here's Brad's recovery plan is made up of just unoffensive the foremost.
Feingersh is hellbent though, right? He's just drawn off the top now.
Yeah, but he's got the Den Protector, so you know he's got a little more gas kind of at his disposal here. And looks like he's going to get the downfall to just take down unoffensive now.
Yeah, maybe living in fear of Wingmate Rock, right? Doesn't want to let Brad get
That's
an
interesting.
attack in a 5th mana.
No, you totally could be the case, and that is what he's doing. He's just doing it
main
right
phase,
now.
kill your unoffensive. I mean, it also clears a path, but wow.
Oh,
Brad's
wow.
at
Yeah,
5.
okay. So this makes a lot of sense.
And
What a
there's the
great
5th
turn.
mana, but it's
Wow,
too
those
late.
last 2 turns from Feingersh were off the charts good.
Yeah.
Wipe his board, including killing a Planeswalker and 2 creatures, then wipe his board again, get in for 5, and set up lethal for the next turn while using all of your mana both times. That was just a symphony there for Ben Feingersh, who evens things up against Brad
Game could have been
Nelson.
if Brad hits land 5 on turn 5, the game could have been totally different.
Could have changed things for sure.
Could have gone monstrous, could have played Wingmate, but coulda, shoulda, didn't.
Didn't, and now we're going to get a game 3 there. We can jump over and see what Mark Jacobson, who's up a game against Gabby Sparks, and see what they've got going on over there. Mark's on the Bant Megamorph, and last time we checked in on them, you know, he had kind of done the Bant Megamorph thing. He had a few
Death miss
miss going, and looked like he was dominating that board state, especially after that flurry of removal spells. But now it looks a little more evened up. Gabby's got a Fleece Mane as well as Mark, but Mark has a Warden of the First Tree hanging out there too, which can certainly be a threat going down the line as Gabby tries to decide how she wants to handle this next turn.
Yeah, I mean, she got to play first, but Mark had an Elvish Mystic, so he kind of like reclaimed the serve or something.
Yeah, stole that initiative back. Gabby's got a grip full of cards, all three colors of mana here, so she certainly has options.
57 to the gathering place.
All right, Thoughtseize is what Gabby decides on here. Let's take a look at what Mark's working with in his 4-card hand.
Den Protector.
Looks like Valorous Stance, and is that a Disdainful Stroke on the bottom?
Plausible. That's... They'll play a lot of blue cards in the Megamorph list, but that's usually one of them.
Of course, he's got a land sitting there too, so
He's got 4 mana. You probably just take Den Protector, right?
that's the powerhouse of the 3. And yeah, that was a Disdainful Stroke on the bottom as well. But Gabby, you know, not in a position yet to even get to that point, and I think she's clearing the way for Adromica's command here.
I think so.
She can attack first.
Oh, wow.
Oh, this is going to be a huge blowout. She gets to put the counter on there and then fight the Warden as well? Or that she would
Fight,
actually lose
though,
both,
so
so
she
she'll
still
just fight the
loses it.
guy. All right, fair enough. So not a huge blowout, but still
She's
a nice
gonna
one.
do that. She could have done that pre-combat, though. Got in for 4. Maybe she didn't actively want to command there. Maybe she had something else she preferred to do with her mana and was only going to do that if Mark blocked.
If he blocks, then she has to put the counter on, right? You're just saying, like, if he didn't block, she could do it after? Because she could do it after, sure, but
No,
only
of
if he
course.
doesn't block. If he blocks, it forces her hand.
Mini Master player Gary May.
All right, so off we go.
Gary May, please meet your judges
Right back
gathering
at
place.
you. The Valorous Stance that Gabby knew about. The door gets opened up by using that, and she has to lose her Fleece Mane line. So when the dust settles, Mark Jacobson looks to be ahead in game 2. Why don't we jump back over to our main feature match, though, because they're back underway, and we got to see who wins here. Don't know what happened to our table there. I think somebody might have bumped our playmat. It looks a little crooked. All right, Fleece Mane line on turn 2 for Nelson, though. Another good start for him. We've seen him curve out pretty readily so far and kind of do what he wants to do, at least in the early stages of the game.
Yeah,
But
these
Vile Blight
decks
is going
aren't
to take it down.
that many cards apart in the grand scheme of things, but it really is Nelson as the aggro deck. I mean, both players kind of understand their roles.
Mm-hmm.
But as the aggro deck, Ben wants to sort of blunt the initial attack and then win with his sort of mid-game card advantage cards. It feels like Ben should have the advantage in this matchup to me. I mean, this Abzan aggro deck, though, it's just card quality is so good. Often doesn't matter if it's hypothetically a little bit behind from a theory crafting point of view.
Yeah, it's true. It's a very dense deck. Like, each spell packs a very big punch. And, you know, you'll see a lot of the spells are gold cards or, you know, just pure gold cards. And, you know, when you work in R&D, the gloves come off, you know, when you get to make a card that costs green-white or green-white-black. They can really push it. Okay, but Ben Feingersh has had the answers so far here.
Draft player Howard Bowden, please report to the
Oh my.
gathering.
Oh, but here's a
2+1/+1
Vile Blight
counters.
to put a couple of counters on the Fleece Mane Lion and actually get in for a couple of
Ben
damage.
did not need to wait for the middle of the attack phase to do that Vile Blight. He could have just main phased his Vile Blight. It would have worked.
Yes.
It would have killed the Fleece Mane. But by waiting for combat, Brad had time to play that Llanowar Wastes.
It could be a big misstep here for Feingersh.
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna...
Now he's facing down a 5/5 Fleece Mane Lion.
Just because your card's an instant doesn't mean you have to wait till the last possible moment to play it.
All right, looks like he's got the
got
backup
he
plan
does
here,
have a
though,
backup
with the Abzan Charm. But still, that is a card down for him, and he's.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the two Obzon
I guess he
Sharks
did kind
canceled.
of even it back up. You're right. Yeah. So it's just actually
even,
the damage
he took
that he
a couple
loses.
damage and opened himself up to what if he hadn't had that, or what if Brad had some other trick.
All right. So he kind of gets away with that one, and he's got an End Hostilities in his hand as well. If Brad goes like creature here, he could really blow him out. And speak of the devil, there's creature. If he's got an untapped land, and he does, it's End Hostilities. What a huge swing for Feingersh.
Yeah, he's playing like Obzon mid-range this game.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well,
which is pretty good against Obzon aggro, for the record.
For sure. And you know, Brad does have the follow-up play here, though, with Onofenza. It's just a single threat, but it's a big one.
Oh, yeah.
And here's a Den Protector face down for Feingersh, who has now entered the value stage of the game. He does find himself at 11 life, facing down on offense of the foremost, while Brad draws some cards with Obzon Charm here. And Brad says land go. So is Feingersh going to flip up this Den Protector now? Looks
I
like
assume.
it. So what can he get back? He can get back a Bile Blight, an Obzon Charm, or an End Hostilities. It's like Obzon Charm's what he wants here. And he takes it. But while you're tapped out, let's get rid of that Den Protector and get another counter here. On Onofenza. Oh, jeez. So this is going to be Elspeth, Sun's champion, and he's going to make tokens, as Onofenza doesn't really have a reliable way to get through a 1/1 token, no form of evasion. And so Ben knows that he can just keep plussing Elspeth. He could have minused to get rid of Onofenza, but he'd rather just keep advancing his board, since those tokens are effectively, you know, blanking Onofenza one at a time here.
I think Brad's got a self-inflicted wound in his hand, which is not particularly good against Elspeth.
No, the three tokens is so many. Here goes Ben attacking with his soldiers. A card like Bile Blight could do some work.
Mm-hmm.
Brad's got it, though. And there's a face
0
down
copies
board.
anywhere in a 75.
All right. So this one could be over pretty quickly in Feingersh's favor. He's really gotten some value, and Brad Nelson just scoops him up. He says,
Elspeth's very good
I know we're
against
done
him.
here. Yeah, once Elspeth came down, it looked like that about shut the door on it. And Ben Feingersh, unstoppable this weekend, 13-0.
Oh, man. Yeah, so you know what? I was talking with Brad yesterday morning before the tournament even started, and he's talking about the list, and you know how we've talked a couple times that it's a Brian Braun do-win list. It's not Brad's, you know, he didn't agonize over every card. And he was like, Brian insists I got to play Self-Inflicted Wound. I kind of wish I had 2 Glare of Heresy in my sideboard. He had Self-Inflicted Wound in his hand right there, where Glare of Heresy would have dealt with Elspeth.
Ooh, that stings.
Yeah, that I got a feeling Brian may hear about that. I mean, I'm sure Brad's happy with the deck, and it's all obviously awesome to have a friend like Brian who's been grinding the format and who, you know, whose decisions you respect. But Brad did not sound convinced about the lack of Glare of Heresy in the sideboard, and there he just Elspeth scooped.
Yeah, he let it stick around for a turn and a half, and that was all she wrote. All right,
Pretty
so
much.
when we come back here, though, things have not improved for Gabby Sparks, as she's facing lethal damage with no board state, and it's like just 1 card in her hand, down a game. And that's going to do it. So we came in time in time for the handshake. Hands go on head. I think she's reviewing her game there. If you've ever seen her stream, she's very analytical about going back over, well, you know, the first thing that comes out of her mouth usually be like, what could we have done different, that kind of thing.
Yep.
And I'm sure she's talking to her opponent now about how the match went. That will probably knock her out. She's going to be at 10-3 now. But Mark Jacobson with Bant Megamorph is just trucking right along here at 11-2. And, you know, he's going to start keeping his eye on the prize here of getting the top 8.
He's 2 wins away.
He's 2 wins away
This was
from
essentially
making it.
think of this as the PTQ top 8 match.
There you go.
The old school PTQ top 8
that
match.
was the
Right, just
quarters.
rattle off 3 in a row
Yeah.
and you're into the Pro Tour.
That's right.
I mean, and Gabby's still in position to finish the money And how much Grand Prix experience does she have?
I think she's got one other day two under her
Okay.
resume. Yeah, so not a lot. You know, she's not exactly a grizzled veteran of the Grand Prix
Exactly.
scene, but she's been to a few.
Even 10-3 is not exactly a bad record.
Oh, not at all. Yeah, she might be able to walk away with some money, a pro point or two. And a
But
big
yeah, it's
smile there
Mark
from Mark,
Jacobson.
who's, he knows. He needs to focus down and win two more. Get
Top
himself
8
on the
and
Pro
then
Tour,
vote.
hit the top 8. And another friendly handshake between these two as we move two more players into our feature match area.
It's like Paul Reitzel.
That is Paul Reitzel right there.
Paul Reitzel, who came into this tournament flat-footed tie with Brad Nelson in pro points. They are just above the bubble for Worlds. If Worlds was tomorrow...
Like for the at-large?
Yes.
Is that what you mean? Okay.
They are the 22nd and 23rd players into the 24-person field.
Oh, man.
Craig Wesco, 1 point behind them, is below the bubble.
Okay,
That
and
the
he's
line
here, by
is-
the way.
The line is in the middle of the 42-pointers for the at-large invitations to Worlds.
Wow.
Paul and Brad are at 43, looking for more points. Now, the good news for both Brad and Paul is that they have zeros for Grand Prix. They do not have 6 Grand Prix finishes yet, so any points they get here are good for them. Meanwhile, compare that with Craig Wesco, whose 6 Grand Prix results are 4-4, 3-3, 3-3. So he's got at least 12 and 3 at 6 different GPs. Craig has to make top 8 just to get a
Just to
single
improve.
pro point toward his year. Although, to be fair, Craig's actually relevant to the top pro points for Grand Prix uncapped.
Okay.
There's a new spot at this year's Worlds. I don't know if you guys saw this announcement, but most pro points across all Grand Prix, ignoring any kind of cap. Craig's on the list. He's in like 5th or so. I got that on here somewhere. Yeah, Craig is in 6th on that. He's got 21 points from Grand Prix. And first place is 26. So
And that gets you a seat at the World Championship.
that gets you a seat at World Champions. Right now, Pascal Maynard is on his way to Worlds, winning the tiebreaker over Taruya Hakume, who's got a couple of wins over on the Asian side of the Grand Prix circuit. So those guys are at 26. Pascal's actually here, although I don't know if he made day 2. Eric Froehlich's in 3rd in that race, but he's going to Worlds either way.
He's going to Worlds either way. It is
Kane
interesting
is
how this
4th.
plays
Sam
out.
Black
I
is
see
going.
Eric Froehlich, Sam Black.
Yeah, I feel like Eric and
Neither
Sam
of
do
them
not
are here.
feel. I mean, it'd be cool to win this.
Yeah.
But I don't think they don't feel the pressure of it's my only way to Worlds the way that Pascal or Taruya or Craig Wesco do. Anyway, point being, Paul Reitzel wants some pro points, and Paul Reitzel
And you
is.
said he does have slots in his GP to fill still?
Oh yeah, he's got some zeros. He's got a full-time job. He gets most of his points from the Pro Tour itself, which is super impressive if you think about it. So yeah, when he timed this Grand Prix, he landed yesterday morning. He landed at 11 a.m. So he landed in the middle of what should have been round 2. We got a little bit of a slow start. He actually landed during round 1. And then he's just like trying to figure out how to get here. Like the light rail doesn't stop at the closest stop because the nearest highway is closed and there's construction. And
Yeah.
yeah, he wound up having to buy a weekly pass on the train because he didn't have any Canadian money to buy the day pass. Anyway, travel with a full-time job can be a bit of an adventure. But hey, Paul's got a chance to play with one of his favorite cards, Thoughtseize. This is a card that feels like everybody else just makes mistakes with this card. 11-1, by the way. He's tied with Brad. He's now tied for 2nd place, right?
Yeah.
We saw Feingersh
Feingersh is
running
clear,
away.
yeah.
Congrats to him, by the way, on the Pro Tour invite.
Yep.
He is.
He got it.
He should be in the top 8, barring tiebreaker catastrophes that I can't even imagine. Should be into the top 8, is into the Pro Tour, 100% guaranteed Pro Tour invite. Paul's tied for 2nd, and with a win here, he'd be 1 match away.
Okay, so let's see what happens. Ben White's playing Batman. You know, it's funny. This is the same matchup we just had.
It is. Yeah, we saw Gabby lose this matchup.
She did, yeah. She lost 2-0. We're getting a game 3 here between Reitzel and White.
Yeah, Paul, top 8 here for Paul pretty much guarantees Worlds. I think that is to a first approximation, that's the way Paul's tournament lines up. Top 8 is not just a top Grand Prix top 8, it's probably a World Championship invite.
That's huge.
It's
so huge. You know, that's
super
sort of
huge.
the gap. You know, when you talk about players like Paul Reitzel, who's in the Hall of Fame, he doesn't have to scrap out every win to try to get to gold for the next season.
Right, he's got the Pro Tour
Got the invites already locked
No,
up.
Worlds is the only reason he's here. If it
right.
wasn't, he's already clinched platinum for next year, which is a nice set of benefits on top of Hall of Fame. Make no mistake about it. Hall of Famers definitely prefer to be platinum.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, your hobby's paying you instead
Right.
of the other way around. But Paul's here because he wants to go to Worlds. He enjoyed the World Championship tournament this year. He went, finished kind of middle of the package, which is great.
I think I just saw a blowout.
Uh-oh. Yeah, you did.
Hunt the Hunter was met with valorous stance from Ben Weitz. And that is savage. That is we see those more at the limited GPs, right? I play my trick and I kill your guy, and that was just
kill your
straight
guy
up
as a
2
response.
for 1. Yeah.
Wow, that was insane.
So that was a huge swing in Ben Weitz's favor. Again, Ben sitting in 11-1 on his Bant Megamorph. We've seen this Megamorph deck be really a true mid-range deck that can take the fight to you if you open the door, but also can enter this mid-game stage where it can just grind out a whole bunch of cards. It has tough to deal with threats that are good against, like Fleecebane Lion being sort of the headliner, right, of a mid-range card. It's good against aggressive decks because it blocks so well so early, and it's good against control decks because it applies pressure so early that makes them react to you, and even has a great late game if you get to monstrous. All right, Paul Reitzel's going to take care on Ben's upkeep, just in case he has another Valorous stance that was going to save it. He can make him use up his mana there, but of course before he gets to play his land, so you play around the
And now here,
monsters.
the mid-game advantage, the value part of this Bant Megamorph deck kicks in. This Bant Megamorph looks like a great call for this weekend. With all
really
the Obzon
does.
aggro running around.
It is shaping up quite nicely.
This matchup does not look good for Obzon aggro. And Obzon aggro is it the most played deck on day 2?
Mm-hmm.
I know it was close between this, the Atarka Red, and Esper Dragons. Those are the big 3. That Megamorph is hanging out in 4th. It's like if you add all the Megamorph decks together, they get into that cluster, sort of 15%-ish, right next to Obzon aggro. And I guess if you add all the red aggro together, they're the most played. But yeah, Obzon aggro, clearly a deck you have to be able to beat if you want to win this Grand Prix, and Bant Megamorph seems well positioned to do so. Den Protector, value. Paul got blown out as a response to that Hunt the Hunter. He got 2 for 1 there. 6 lands, a little flooded for the Obzon aggro deck.
Absolutely.
I mean, he does have a loss to give for top 8. If he loses this round, he basically needs to win the next 2. You never want to give the loss that you have to give, of course.
Of course.
But yeah, these guys are, the winner gets to play for top 8 next round. The loser has to rattle off 2 in a row. I'm guessing it's 1,600 people that some of the X2s are going to miss top 8, but it'll be the ones who won out from below, right? These guys will probably have the better tiebreakers.
Looks like the value train continues to ride for Ben Weitz as he's got another morph here. And nothing going on for Paul Reitzel on his side of the table, sitting at 7 life. And he is going to need to find something, and quickly. He's going to find himself dead. It looks like he's got something already. What is it? Hero's Downfall?
This is not the way you want to fight the Den Protector engine.
He kills the Den Protector, which Ben does not turn
what
face up.
What is Ben leaving his mana untapped for?
Dromica's Command is what he's got here, but that's not enough. I couldn't see in his hand exactly what he's leaving it up for.
I think he's got a Valorous stance?
Maybe he has like a card like a Negate or something like that. I see a blue card in his hand. I'm just so used to seeing, kill your morph, turn it up, get my creature back anyway. That when you see that the player decided not to do that and they had the green and colorless mana available, that they must really want to keep mana up for something. Hello, here comes Elspeth, Sun's champion. And that should do it here. as
Yeah.
Reitzel just doesn't have the tools to deal with
Yep.
all of these threats. He's down to 4 life.
Draws an Obzon Charm.
Yeah, miserable Obzon Charm. I think he had another in his hand too. And I think he's just going to cast it here.
Let's see
And
if
do what
these
you
two
gotta
can
do.
save me. Police Mane and something.
Of course, that's going to drop Reitzel
Yeah,
down to 2,
of course.
and there we go. Ben White's 12-1 now. He's trucking right along with this Bant Megamorph list. Defeats Paul Reitzel, the Hall of Famer here. And he's had a really nice run, has been in this tournament. So